Good evening, everybody. I'm Bhuvneshwari, the moderator of the session. A warm welcome to all in this pleasant evening for this interesting webinar. All of you would get a nostalgic feeling when I state a statement being physically present but mentally absent. The ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness. Mental health is an ongoing process of dedication to reality at all costs. Now, when we come to the current scenario, the global pandemic, the COVID era, where mental health matters the most. What is the stigma around mental health? Did we break the COVID chain mentally? How the journey from illness to wellness occurs? To answer all our questions and to elaborate on mental health and COVID, I would like to invite an impeccable leader, Dr. P Bose, a well known pulmonologist, head of Respiratory Medicine, National Heart Institute Delhi, founder of SAANS Foundation, a foundation working on advocacy, treatment, and rehabilitation in the field of respiratory care and life sciences. Dr. Bose has done many international fellowships and he has received many awards and honors, especially Delhi Medical Association Excellence Award, a scroll of honor for outstanding professional services, UCMS, Delhi University. He is also an author of The Current Manual on Chest Diseases and several other books. Dr. Bose is also the chairman of Clinics in Chest Medicine, an initiative of SAANS and FOUURTS, which is an interactive and practical education program about latest trends in respiratory, critical care, and sleep medicine, which consists of CMEs, lectures, and hands-on series where most of the renowned people in pulmonology are connected. The CICM community is now emerging with a lot of innovations in the post-COVID phase. We are now having attendees not only from India but across the globe. This evidently shows the importance of the topic as well as the speaker. We, FOUURTS, as an organization, always believed and served with the tagline Innovating for Good Health. And we take the immense pleasure in inviting Dr. P Bose once again for the talk on the journey from illness to wellness. The virtual podium is on to you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bhuvna, for a sweet introduction. So this is a very important time in the post-COVID. In fact, the COVID is still on, and the mental health is going to play a very important role in the days and years to come. And I will share how we can cope up with these mental issues and what are the key areas we should be working on. And I'm going to speak about a structured program to handle these different mental health challenges in COVID times. Now, dear friends, welcome to our journey from illness to wellness. Dear friends, you know, this will be the decade of wellness because now we have to move from the word health to wellness. Now I will be speaking in my next 20-30 minutes about our journey from illness to wellness. Now, what exactly is illness? Even with your fit body, the thought process, your disturbances, what we call the cognitive disruptions can give you a huge amount of discomfort, what we call illness. But this illness, the I letter I, can be converted into W and make it wellness. It's very easy when you have a coach with you, when you have a structured program, when you have the right kind of professionals who can help you out to come out with these cognitive disruptions. And that's why we call this a journey from illness to wellness. Now, dear friends, a little about SAANS. We have been there for the last 2 decades and more, and we are into different forums to create awareness and advocacy. And now in the post-COVID time, we are talking about wellness because this is the most important thing which can help the community to come back to normalcy. Now, a key concept in understanding wellness, and since I being a respiratory super specialist, is the breathe. Now, we have understood that breath is the most important thing. As we say, the brain is the king of the body, but the master of the brain is your breath. This master needs to be understood. Explained here, breathe stands for breathing better. If you're a better breather, and if you learn to relax, exhale more, develop a sense of awareness, keep your thoughts focused, we are there to help you out to reach that level of wellness. And if you reach that level of wellness by breathing deeply, you enjoy a sense of blissfulness or a sense of enlightenment. That is what we define breathe in SAANS. So let's breathe better and live longer. Now, dear friends, to understand the mental health and its consequences, it's very important to understand this triad of cognitive factor, behavioral factor, and environmental factor. Now, what happens? Now, the most important thing of a mind, because human being has special consciousness, and that is responsible for your cognitive disruption. The cognitive factors is a function of your knowledge which you have acquired, your expectation and attitude. This is coupled by your environmental factors, comprises of social norms, access in community and other factors, supported by your behavioral factors, which is a function of your skill, practice, and self-efficacy, and that decides the human behavior. So if you really want to understand the human behavior in the post-COVID time, these three factors are very important. The cognitive factors coupled with your environmental factors, and every individual to knowing their expectation and attitude, and by nurturing their knowledge, we can create an ecosystem to create a right kind of behavior. So making the right choices for health and well-being can be challenging. Human behavior is what we do, how we do it, and whether we will be able to succeed is influenced by many factors. Ultimately, it's a human behavior. It is a human behavior that will decide whether you will excel or you will go back. So when it comes to wellness, there are two things that are very important. Dear friends, you have to understand. One is self-regulation. The other one is habit. Now, what exactly is self-regulation? Self-regulation means your motivation, your mental health, your positivity, you're seeing the bigger picture, a little tossing of the brain so that you feel up and alert. And despite being the displeasure, you see the pleasure in it and follow certain new rules, go to the new norms. And if you keep on doing it, those self-regulatory behavior, you develop a habit, and habit is, once you set a habit, it becomes an effortless effort. That means you don't feel at all. So this is what we are going to talk about it. What are the new habits you have to follow? What are the new rules you have to do to reach that level of, new neurophysiological state of mind? And that is what we are talking about wellness. Now, if you really understand the human brains, you have to see that different lobes play a different role. The frontal lobe, which we are shown here with the orange coding, it talks about our motor control, the problem solving, the speech, very important part that decides your mental health, your attitude, your connectivity, your problem solving behavior. Then this blue portion of the brain, which you see, the parietal lobe. So frontal lobe talks about the positive attitude, your speech and all, and parietal lobe talks about your body orientation, sensory discrimination, touch perception. Temporal lobe talks about your language comprehension, auditory processing, memory, information retrieval. Occipital lobe talks about your visual cortex, visual reception and visual interpretation. Then, of course, you have the neck area, the brainstem, which talk about involuntary responses or autonomic behavior. And we also have two lobes called cerebellum, which talks about balance and coordination. So, dear friends, every lobes are important. So when we talk of wellness, which I will talk about in next slide, that different neuronal circuits are there. And the most important part of the brain is this orange area, the prefrontal cortex. It is an integration center that gives the sense of positivity, the wellness, the right release of hormone. Now, dear friends, if you see the neuronal circuits of wellness, what we are showing here, the blue area, this is a limbic system, the anterior cingulate cortex, or the front portion of the brain, which decides your affects, selective attention, and social interaction. With the little backside of the brain in the front area called the prefrontal cortex, which talks about motivation, executive function. So in nutshell, the front portion of the brain, the frontal lobe, decides your wellness behavior. Another very important part of the brain is that what we're showing on the little lower side, the hippocampus, which talks about the learning and memory. And a little red, like an apple, we are showing the amygdala, which talks about the emotional stress and learning. This hippocampus, amygdala, and the frontal cortex, they play a very integrative role to decide the right kind of wellness and the right kind of neurophysiological chemical release. And this amygdala and the associated structures of the limbic system. So when we talk of a wellness, it is an integrative approach which we talk about it, which will decide your right kind of attitude. A sustained sense of total well-being needs constant brain retraining and practices. A complete integration of mind, body, and soul, controlled by your neural brain circuits, with integration center in the prefrontal cortex, in nutshell called PFC, is responsible for neurochemical harmony essential for wellness. That means you have to really concentrate the release of hormones in the front portion of the brain, the frontal lobe, and it needs a lot of practices that we are talking about. So the new post-COVID phase, the new mental health needs a lot of self-regulation, a lot of practices, which involves brain retraining and practices. Then only you can create that harmony. That is what we call holistic harmony, which is essential for the state of wellness. So dear friends, now in the post-COVID time, we have to move from the concept of health to wellness. You know, what is health? Health is a condition of being of a sound body with emphasis on freedom from pain and disease. Now we are talking about, it's a holistic harmony. It means it's a 360-degree approach. It's a state of well-being, wellness that encompasses the physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, social, environment, and occupation. That means if you really talk about wellness, if you talk about fitness, if you talk about overall well-being, so we have to take care of everything: your physicality, your emotional component, your spiritual component, environmental, your intellectual, your occupational, your mental health. Everything has to be taken care of, because what we have showed, the different portion of the lobes of the brain behave differently, and we have to learn to integrate and retrain that brain so that it's a new brain, it's a new reprogram. Then only you can reach the new height, the new normal, and that is the wellness. So dear friends, what is wellness? Wellness is considered a conscious, self-directed, and evolving process of achieving full potential. Again, I repeat, it's a conscious, self-directed, evolving process. That means you should be consciously self-directed, self-regulating yourself to go to your maximum potential, and it is multidimensional. That means it cannot only with one component you cannot achieve. It's not only the physical, or it is not only the emotional. It's a combination of so many things which the body as a human being needs. That's why we call it a holistic harmony, which encompasses lifestyle, mental health, emotional health, environmental health, social, spiritual, everything put together, and it is very positive and affirming. And dear friends, if you practice this holistic harmony in an integrative manner, you reach that level of positivity, that level of energy, and that level of intuitive intellect, and that is the new mantra we call the wellness in the post-COVID time. Now, dear friends, this is a wellness wheel. As I told you, we have to really practice 360-degree, keeping all the components: the lifestyle, the exercise, the attitude, the nutrition, and we have to take care of all the components: the occupational, the emotional, the spiritual, the intellectual, the nutritional, the physical, the environment, and social. And that's why we call it a wellness wheel. It's like a wheel. We have to, it should be in momentum. It should keep on moving, keeping all the factors. If one of the factors go out of way, your wheel will be in a disharmony. So it's a very harmonious wheel, and that needs a continuity in nurturing all the areas which we are talking about. Now, what are the dimensions of wellness? The most important part of the dimension of wellness, if we talk about 360, the first and most important is the physical dimension. We talks about caring for your body to stay healthy now and in the future. Intellectual dimension is very important. Growing intellectually, maintaining curiously about all there is to learn, valuing lifelong learning, and responding positively to intellectual challenge. That means it is a keep on, it is a continuously, you have to keep on learning new things. It's a learned behavior. You have to keep on growing yourself based on your core and belief, acquiring new thoughts, new values, new learning. So the intellectual dimension is a very important component. Then comes the emotional dimension, understanding and respecting your feelings, values, and attitudes. Without emotional dimension, you cannot practice wellness. So you have to understand and respect your feelings, values, and attitudes. The social dimension, it is maintaining a healthy relation, enjoy being with others, caring about others, and letting others care about it. So these social dimensions are equally important. Then only this holistic harmony is important. The whole process of a healthy relation and developing a social milieu will help you to reach that level of wellness. And of course, the spiritual dimensions, or what we call a cosmic wellness, finding purpose, value, meaning in your life with or without organized religion. It's not about religion. It's about the values, the purpose, the meaning of life, what exactly you want to do, where exactly you want to reach. And this requires certain vocational dimension, preparing and participating work that provides personal satisfaction, life enrichment, and is consistent with your values, goal, and lifestyle. So if you really want to achieve the social dimension, the spiritual, the emotional, and intellectual and physical dimension in a harmonious way, you have to keep on take care of the vocational dimension. That is the area which gives you the personal satisfaction. Financial dimension is a very important part of the wellness. Without finances, nothing works. Managing your resources to live with your means, making informed financial decisions and investments, setting realistic goals, preparing for short-term and long-term needs or emergencies. That means the right kind of financial planning is also a very important component of wellness. And coupled with the environmental dimension, understanding how your social nature and environment affect your health and well-being. That means you're creating or resonating with your internal and outer environment and developing a kind of equilibrium with the biodiversity will enhance your morale. So the dimension of wellness, these are the very key important dimensions which has to be nurtured. So dear friends, it's a 360-degree journey. So here we will talk about how we can nurture the individual components in a very structured and scientific way. And if you follow these rules in a very structured and scientific way, you will find wellness is possible, wellness will be achieved, and you will feel the life worth living. Now, to understand this different components of wellness, it's very important to understand the brain and what we call the neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity, also known as brain plasticity or neuroelasticity, is the ability of the brain to change continuously throughout an individual life. That means, depending upon the situation, you can keep on changing or reprogram. What is something like data updating, like your mobile phone is updating the data. Keep on updating your brain so that you can respond to life and change itself by forging new neural pathways and circuits by pruning away the old ones as needed. So neuroplasticity can be achieved at any age. Only thing, you have to keep on developing new habits. You have to keep on motivating yourself by right techniques and keeping all the dimensions which I told you, so that you get a new brain, new functional brain, new structural brain, so that you forget about your old pathways and you create new neural pathways so that you feel much motivated, you get the new energy and the new life and the new rise. Now, if you see the basic neuroplasticity ties before experience, say a before COVID experience and after COVID experience, you see there is a chemical change. Now, gradually the chemical change the body accepts, and you find, if you compare the left brain, and there is a structural change. The brain also develops certain structural modification, and eventually you get new functional change so that you develop better coping habits, ability to cope up to different situations, your learned behavior improves, and you develop new rules and what you call the new habit. So new program your brain or neuroplasticity The neural pathways connect relatively distant areas of the brain or nervous system. Each pathway is associated with particular action or behavior. Every time we think, feel, or do something, we strengthen this pathway. Habits are well-traveled pathways. Our brain finds these things easy to do it. So we have different pathways, all are differently located. But if we continuously feel and think and do something positive, the habits are developed. And this is what we call a well-traveled pathways. It takes only 21 days to form a new habit. So what happens? There is a neuroplasticity, new thoughts and skills curve out new pathways. Repetition and practice strengthen this pathways to form. That means once you bring new thoughts, it starts making the new pathways, or what do you call it, opens up new pathways. But the new repetition, the repetition and practice, regular repetition and practice will strengthen these pathways, forming new habits, and gradually we'll find old pathways get used less and weaken. And with this repeated and direct attention toward desired change, I'll repeat again, with repeated and direct attention towards a desired change, we all have an ability to rewire our brains. That means this is the time to rewire, to develop new habits, to create new pathways, so that the old paths, they fade off and the new pathways come. It's something like new leaves, new blossom. So you get a new brain. And that is a mantra in the post-COVID time. And if we really want to understand in a very quick way, what are the 6 simple tips which you have to follow? The number one thing is that to rewrite your brain, to rewire your brain, to get a new brain which is more functional, our brain needs to rest. If you have a good sleep, both quantitatively and qualitatively, your brain feels open fresh. As we say, for every 2 hours of alertness, we need 1 hour of sleep. So that means 7 to 8 hours of good sleep is the most important. The first mantra is that good sleep. Number 2, relax. Don't worry, be happy. Learn certain relaxation skills which helps you adopt certain habits and follow a good relaxation program so that brain gets enough time to become more functional. Number 3, remember, your brain is plastic. So you have to develop, rewrite new thoughts, create new habits so that you make more neuroplastic your brain, so that you start forming new pathways and new knowledge and new learned behavior. Then of course, the brain is hungry, it needs food. So the right nutrition plays a very important. The small frequent nutrition which is brain friendly, which plays a very important to rewrite your reprogram of brain. Then move and stay active. Activity, more you are active, more your brain is active. So you have to follow certain activity program or physical wellness program which enhance your brain reprogram activity. Then get social. This social wellness will be talk about connectivity in the right way. These are the 6 steps or tips we call to enhance your mental health. So your brain helps us to move, think, feel, and much more. It is one of the most important organs in our body, and it is up to us to keep it healthy, especially during the times of stress. This is the most functional part of the body. This is the most trainable part of the body. And you need to train your brain with the right kind of inputs and right kind of thought, feel, and learn ways you can adjust your lifestyle to keep your brain happy and healthy. You can take these simple steps to improve your brain health. Dear friends, let's individually go to the different components. The first thing is that we are talking, what I mentioned is a physical wellness. Physical wellness is entirely different from physical fitness. Now, what is physical wellness? Is about the right exercise, the right balancing, and the right nutrition. Now, what exactly is the right exercise? Now, exercise is classified into 2 types, the isotonic and isometric exercise. Isotonic exercise means which gives you high level of oxygen to the tissues, which is cardiorespiratory, which gives optimum nutrition to the brain, which gives right kind of peptides to the brain, new release of feel good factors so that every organs are growing with a lot of oxygenation. And these are called isotonic or aerobic exercise. Examples are brisk walking, treadmilling, cross training, swimming, stretches, yogic exercise, deep breathing. We'll talk about it. So try to do at least 30 to 40 minutes of aerobic isotonic exercise, which will help you to push more oxygen to your different organs and which will give you a sign of physical wellness. This has to be coupled with a very important thing. It's what you call autonomic nervous system. Dear friends, the most important part of the human system is the balancing. The central nervous system talks about the right direction, the right thought, the actions, but autonomic nervous system talks about your balancing. There are two types of nervous system in the human body. One is the central nervous system and it is the autonomic nervous system. Now what autonomic nervous system does? It gives you balance. It is something like the right food with the right taste. Like sometimes you may be very hyperactive and sometimes you may be very low. It is a balance of your hyperactive behavior and a low activity. For example, we divide certain moods into different forms. Like sympathetic means hyperactive behavior. Restlessness is sympathetic. Anger is sympathetic. Poor sleep is sympathetic. Ghabrat is sympathetic. Butterflies, palpitation is sympathetic. Continuously negative thoughts is sympathetic. Parasympathetic is relaxed, good sleep, feeling good, chilled feeling. All those negative, you're feeling very, chilled out. These are all parasympathetic behavior. So the whole concept of autonomic system, how can you bring down your sympathetic behavior? I'm not saying it will not be there, and enhance your parasympathetic behavior. And this is possible by training a nervous system called autonomic nervous system, which is possible through the nose. We have two nostrils. One is called Suryanari and Chandranari, the hot nostril and the cool nostril, the sympathetic nose and the parasympathetic nose. It's simple exercise, all called alternate nose breathing, or Anulam Vilam is a technique by which you can balance the autonomic nervous system or the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So when we talk of physical wellness, it's very important to do the aerobic exercise. It's very important to do the balancing of the body so that you don't feel tired after exercise. Yogic exercises play a very important role because that doesn't make you feel good. So aerobic exercise with the right kind of balancing of the autonomic nervous system by using different breathing techniques is very useful. This is coupled by the right nutrition, which we are showing here. What is the right nutrition? Right nutrition is the one which has got the components of every nutrients in every meals. So go for small frequent meals. And a good nutrition should have the good carbohydrate, the good protein, the good fat, the good vitamin and minerals, and the right fibers and water, like a fish. Similarly, every new pyramid we talk about, it should have the right grains, the right vegetables, the right fresh fruits, the right water, the fibers, and the light legumes. And if you are a non-vegetarian, the right kind of lean meat. So it is a combination of the right proteins, carbohydrate, fat, vitamins, minerals, and fiber decide the right nutrition. Let me tell you, the right nutrition, this is governed by the right kind of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is not that you keep on eating simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrate, like which is little rough carbohydrates, you can take in the form of wheat or any kind of cereals, but their glycemic index should be low. That means its sugar value should be low. So low glycemic index carbohydrate is the most important. Then you should have, which should be around 55%. Good proteins like legumes, milk proteins, and lean meat should be around 10%. 5 to 6% should be the fat. Try not to have saturated fat. The good nuts, non-saturated oils, the good fats, and they're very important. They're essential for life. They conduct certain enzymatic reactions. Then, of course, the vegetables and fruits talks about the right minerals and vitamins coupled with the fibers with the right kind of water. 6 to 8 ounces of water, roughly 30 to 35 ml per kg body weight of water as per your ideal height is required for the body. Suppose your 50 kg is your ideal weight, so you multiply by 30, that should be your 1500 ml should be a requirement. If you're doing extra activities, you can add 10 to 20%. So good amount of water with the right kind of nutrition is a very important part of physical wellness. So again, I repeat, the aerobic exercise, the autonomic nervous system balancing, and the right nutrition will decide your physical wellness. Then of course, it's not the physical wellness which decides your only fitness. It is the starting, because physical fitness is the first chapter of wellness, because a good body can go for a good mind. Now mental wellness is something what we are trying to show here. On the left side we are showing a mind which is full of thoughts and negative ideas. No, that is not the good mind, that is mindful. So we have to move from mindfulness to mindful. It's like a meadow. It should be absolutely clean mind, meadow, very clear headed. These kind of practices are very important. If you have a very cluttered mind, if you have a very negative mind, then you will not able to perform, you will get fatigued. You will lose your energy. You will feel very hopeless, worthless. You will develop anxiety. So mindfulness is very important part of the next wellness called mental wellness. So how will you do mental wellness? Keep calm and breathe deeply. Remember, if you develop a sense of calmness and learn to breathe deeply, you balance your autonomic nervous system, which I told you. You bring down the excited behavior of the body, go into a non-excited behavior of the body called parasympathetic. That gives you the right optimize utilization of energy. So these are the few techniques which I'm telling you, which is very important. This is the first thing, is that if you really want to bring down your autonomic nervous system and go for a right kind of balancing, it's important that you watch your breath. Simply watch your breath, because as I told you, breath is a master of the mind. So if you watch your breath, if you can control the breath, you're half done. This is a Buddhist breathing. When Gautam Buddha was very stressed, he practiced this breathing called Anapanasati. And this Anapanasati is a method by which he controlled his consciousness and brought breath into confidence. Breath and mind, when they're in harmony, you are at a peace, or what you call a samadhi. The word Anapanasati in Pali language means to keep one's total attention and awareness only on one's normal breathing process. That means you sit straight, keep your spine straight, feel the third eye, the third, between the eyes, you feel the third point, the third eye, because through this you can see your intuitive intellect, the pituitary, from where you secrete certain good hormones. Feel the third eye, locate a word which is dear to you. Any word which is dear to you, locate a word, you don't have to, and feel the breath at the level of nose. As I told you, the nose, the alternate nose, feel the breath. Just feel it. When you breathe in, it's cool. When you breathe out, it's warm. Feel the breath. Ana means in breath. Apana means out breath. Sati means being one. That means feel the breath. Don't take it as in and out as separate. Feel the whole breath as one. So when you feel the whole breath as one, you will enjoy a sense of blissfulness or enlightenment, because you're feeling the mind at the top and breath at the level of the nose, and you don't segregate in and out. You feel all as one. So you feel cool and warm, cool and warm. Breathing in is cool, breathing out is warm. Feel this temperature difference at the level of a nose and a mind at the third eye. You feel very relaxed, composed, and you go from mindfulness to mindfulness. You start clearing your mind. This is the first step. Watch your breath. Then, if you are not able to help yourself, you need certain solution. What you need is a cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, what is exactly cognitive behavior? The whole thing of the mental health is thoughts. If you have a negative thoughts, you have an upset feelings. If you have upset feelings, you have an unhelpful behavior. With the right kind of professional approach, what we call the philosophical counseling, we can help you to remove these negative thoughts, bring new thoughts, and you can feel good. On the right side, we are trying to show, suppose there is a situation that triggers a problem or criticize at work, thoughts come. Situation gives you thoughts. What goes through my head? I am not good enough. Suppose there is a situation you're not able to cope up. You'll say, no, I'm not good enough. I probably will not able to cope up with this. Then comes an emotion, because after a negative thought, you land up into a negative emotion. How do you feel? You may feel worthless and anxious. No, I'm not able to cope up with my work. So you feel worthless and anxious. Once you feel worthless and anxious, then you develop a behavioral problem. What do I do? You avoid contact with others. When you feel yourself anxious and worthless, you start moving out, become secluded, you feel lonely, you avoid contact with others. These are behavioral things, and that is reflected on your physical reaction in the form of somatizations. You feel tired, you lose appetite, you get aches and pains, you get palpitations, you feel restlessness. So here, understand, this is a very interesting thing. A simple thought can give you so much emotional, behavioral, and physical changes, so that you start feeling very guilty and negative, and eventually you're going to severe depression. So by cognitive behavioral therapy, we can help you to achieve. If you're not able to reach professionals like us for cognitive, you can do self-cognitive. What has helped you in the past? Think positive, change your thoughts, emotion changes, behavior changes, and your physical reactions also improve. So this is a very important part of the technique we use. Cognitive behavioral therapy, you can have an auto-cognitive behavioral therapy techniques to improve your mental health. So dear friends, we discussed about the physical wellness, we discussed about the mental wellness. Now the third most important thing which decides your wellness is the emotional wellness. Emotion, it's emotion, it's a very dynamic, it's very, it works, it fluctuates with the time. In the morning you may be good, in the evening you may be low. So emotional wellness is a very important. If you can control your emotional wellness, you can almost achieve a sense of complete wellness. So emotional wellness, to have a positive attitude, high self-esteem, a strong sense of self, and the ability to recognize and share a wide range of feelings with others in a constructive way. So emotional wellness is, it's the balance between your expressive emotion and a repressed emotion, how you conduct yourself, how you share your feeling in a constructive way, your people and with yourself, how self-compassionate you are, how you develop an empathy. It's a kind of a right milieu and harmony which you can create in your system, so that you feel very relaxed, balanced, and feel very good and energetic. So when you talk of emotional illness, it's very important to assess why what we feel matters. You may be sad, you may be happy, you may be angry, you may be scared, you may be nervous, you may be confused, lonely. So you have to understand what is bothering you. So having a positive attitude, high self-esteem, a strong sense of self, and the ability to recognize and share a wide range of feelings with other in a constructive way, which I told you, these are very important. You have to learn to share in your assertive way the wide range of feelings with others. So emotional wellness check is very important. Every individual in this phase should go through an emotional wellness check, evaluate your own emotional wellness with this brief quiz. Am I able to maintain a balance of work, family, friends, and other obligation? Do I have ways to reduce stress in my life? Am I able to make decisions with a minimum of stress and worry? Am I able to set priorities? If answered no to any one of these questions, it may indicate an area where you need to improve the state of your emotion. That means keep asking questions. Are you able to control the balance between the family, friends, and other obligations? Are you able to cope up the stress? Are you able to make the right decisions? Are you able to set the priorities? That means whether you're able to create the right kind of milieu and harmony in your system emotional. If you're not, then you probably require an emotional wellness program. So training the brain for emotional wellness is a very important. You have to learn to train the brain so that it's a new brain. You feel good so that you can cope up with the new challenges and evolve as a new brain, and you come out with your emotional illness. And that needs a kind of philosophical technique called rational emotive behavioral therapy. It's a very interesting thing. It works on the principle. Say there is an activating event on adversity. The something probably has triggered. Maybe the COVID has triggered the whole process. You had a COVID and you really was panicking and you develop a kind of mental health which is activated. So your belief about the event or adversity. Like for example, if he said, if I develop COVID, I may not survive. The belief that make the things adverse. So the whole concept of rational emotive behavioral therapy works on the concept of believe about the event or adversity. And this will give you an emotional consequences. If you think negative, he said, if I get COVID, I will die. So when you develop that belief about the event or adversity, so what will happen? You will develop tremendous amount of emotional consequences. So you will land up into disputation to challenge irrational beliefs. So you will go into irrational thoughts, and soon you will develop effective new beliefs and replace the irrational ones. So what happens? This new beliefs, what we do in emotion, this sequences we change by changing the belief about the event, by changing the emotional consequences, we remove the irrational beliefs, and by removing the irrational beliefs, we replace the irrational thoughts with a new beneficial thought. This is the whole concept of rep, which needs a professional counseling, but one should always practice to see the bigger picture and work on the belief and about the event and adversity. It's a very effective tool in emotional wellness. Then of course there are a very important part, because now we are confined in a space. We are always working in a closed space. Environmental wellness plays a very important role. What does it mean? Being aware of nature, our environment, our immediate surroundings. It is about protecting the environment and protecting ourselves from the environment. That means we have to create a synergy between us and the environment. It is an indoor and outdoor environment synergy. So we have to bring a lot of synergy, or using biodiversity, what we call it, plays a very important role. You have to develop a kind of symbiosis, because the biodiversity gives a lot of oxygenation rich to the environment, so it enhances the flow of energy. And your toxic energy, what is the carbon dioxide, gets absorbed by this so that you create a high intensity, high energetic environment. So biodiversity nurturing both indoor and outdoor, exposing yourself to the nature makes a lot of difference. And of course, since you're in a confined space, ergonomics is a new science. The right correct sitting posture, how you sit, how you do your job, and your all the postures, the coordination, and these are very important in giving you the right kind of mental health and wellness, fit for work, fit for life. So you have to develop the right kind of fitness attitude when you work. This is an ergonomics that decides your environmental wellness. Then of course, a very important is the social wellness. Ultimately, we are social beings. So social wellness is a right kind of connect, how you connect yourself in a very positive, affirmative way. It involves the emotional intelligence, the self-confidence, the self-talk, problem solving, relation aspects, social skill, conflict management, effective communication on one side with a rational approach, self-image, self-knowledge, leadership, cultural diversity, sexuality, assertiveness, democracy, and everything put together. That means it's a combination of so many factors. Your traits, your emotional behavior, your communication skill, your adaptive behavior, your learned skill, ability to cope up situation, good listening power with self-knowledge and compassion gives you the right kind of social wellness, which one has to continuously practice. And there you need a technique, the philosophical technique we call logical behavioral therapy. Now, what is logical behavioral therapy? Now, you have an emotional mind, which is reason and logical thinkingly difficult, uses only emotion to make decisions. You are very reactive. You tells us how we are really doing it, uses core psychological. That means emotional mind is always irrational, reactive, thinks negative. But rational mind is approaches knowledge intellectually, thinks logically, uses past experience, uses facts and research as well as planning and focus. So you have to move from an emotional mind to a rational mind. Rational mind, to reach a rational mind is so difficult. So one has to go into the interplay between the emotional and rational mind. That means what you call a wise mind. So you have to nurture to become an intuitive mind, arrangement and balancing between rational and emotional mind. That means don't be so emotional, don't be so judgmental. Try to create a balance and be focused with your learned behavior using past experience and what we call living mindfully. It's a very interesting thing. If you really want to develop a good level of social wellness, which is a need of the hour, you have to learn to live mindfully, and which needs a combination of a rational mind, wise mind, and emotional minds in interplay. So that makes you a very intuitive thinker. So once you become an intuitive, your social connectivity increases, your brain becomes less emotional and much more rational, and you go from mindfulness and what you call living mindfully. So, dear friends, social wellness is a very intelligent part of our wellness, which is a very tricky, and which, when your physical, mental, emotional, and environmental wellnesses are accurately followed, reaching social wellness becomes easier. So, dear friends, nothing is complete without an add of spirituality, what we call the spiritual wellness or cosmic wellness. It means feeling meaning in life events, demonstrate purpose, live a life that reflects your values in life. Now, what exactly is spiritual wellness we talk about? You have to give a meaning to the purpose. You know, what exactly you have come, what is the purpose of becoming a human being? Why did you, why you are born with a special consciousness? So meaning of life comes when you go into a kind of a different level of thinking, which is called spiritual wellness, where we are trying to bring the cosmos inside, because you're part of an infinite cosmos. So spiritual wellness and cosmos is a new science we are bringing. It's a very bit scientific. So from a fixed brain, we can go into infinity, we can go into thoughtlessness using a lot of cosmic techniques like nurturing chakras and mudras, chanting certain words like simple word. And om chanting talks about your oscillations of your mind with the celestial bodies. This is called cognitive resonance. It's a very useful way of bringing a spiritual wellness, or what you call harmony between your mind and the planet at large. This spiritual wellness, or what you call the cosmic wellness, plays a very important role, and we have used different mudras and chakras and chanting techniques to reach that level. So, dear friends, if you want to really practice 360-degree wellness, and if you want to reach a certain amount of wellness and practice wellness and go to the new height, you have to be a great breather. You have to understand the breath. You have to remove the clutter mind to a mindful, for mindfulness to mindful. Because if you're full of mind and your breathing get disturbed, when your breathing get disturbed, you go into a disarray, what you call your symphony is lost. You see, our breath is like a symphony. Everything is moving in tandem. So if your symphony is disturbed, your life is disturbed. So ultimately, if you really want to practice wellness, you have to nurture the symphony of the body, that is the breath. You see the oscillation of all the functional areas of the respiratory system, what you call alveolar system, they are dancing in symphony. And you have to understand the lung behaves like a slinky. That means if you squeeze, like it's something like a squeeze ball. If you squeeze a ball, the ball goes back faster, which is called a spring effect. You must have experienced with a spring ball. When you squeeze a spring ball, it goes back. Our lung is also like a squeeze ball or a slinky. Learn to breathe out more. That's why it works on the principle of slinky. If you squeeze your lung more, you breathe out more. That's why in my initial slide I tell exhalation is the mantra. Exhalation, more you exhale, more you inhale. So normal breath, what happens? The belly goes out, the diaphragm goes down. The diaphragm is a strong band which is below your heart on the seat, it's a belt on which the heart and lung sit. The diaphragm goes down. When you breathe out, the diaphragm goes up and the belly goes in. This thing one has to understand. If you really want to enjoy the symphony, watch your breath, follow a normal breathing pattern. Now, who are the types of breathers? There are two types of breathers, as I told you, the rapid breathers and the slow breathers. And the best breathers who can control their respiratory. If you are like, if you are very hyper, your breathing will be faster. When your breathing will be faster, you will take small amount of breath. When you take small amount of breath, you will get fatigue. So the whole concept of breathing better is that you exhale more, then there is a pause, then you inhale. Ideal breath should be 3 breath minutes. This is called tortoise breathing. There are so many articles we have written that you breathe like a tortoise and live like a can. If you breathe slow and deep, what you have? So you conserve energy. It is something like that. Suppose when you breathe deeply, calmly, so what happens? You bring more volume of air into the lungs. When you bring more volume to the lungs, so normally in 1 minute we need 5 liters of breath. So how do you can get 5 liters? Normally in one breath we get 500 ml of breath. So if you want 5 liters, so either you breathe deep with 500 ml of air and take only 10 breaths. So 500 to 10 is 5 liters. So when you take large and deep breaths, you get more breaths. But when you are sympathetic, when you are anxious, you take small breaths, say 125 or 250. So that means if you're taking small breaths, a small volume of air, so you have to breathe more. That means from 10, you have to breathe 20. So a person who is breathing faster will get fatigued, you will get exhausted faster. So what we teach is that if you're a better breather, learn to breathe slow and deep. So different breathing techniques. The first breathing techniques, dear friends, if you want to be a good breather and a better breather, good posture is the first thing. You see what we are showing here? That don't sway back, don't stoop. A good posture is a one straight with a line going from the earlobes up to your ankle straight. Always follow a good posture, whatever you're doing, the first posture. Then be calm and breathe deeply. I already told you, watch your breath. Breathe out more. If you're breathing out 1, 2, 3, 4, breathing 1, 2, like this, you exhale more. Watch your breath. Then feel your breath. Put your one hand on the chest, another hand on the abdomen. Feel the movement of your diaphragm. Feel the movement of your belly. Feel your breath. This is what we are showing. Then I told you about autonomic nervous system, the anulom vilom, alternate nostril, start from the left, go to the right, and this is an alternate nasal breathing, very effective anulom vilom to balance your autonomic nervous system, or called the balance between the sympathetic and autonomic. And finally, we talk about the cognitive resonance, the Om oscillations, which will help you to resonate so that you feel thoughtless. This is an arm, this is a primordial, this is a sound which a primordial sound which everybody can pronounce. This an is called It has a waking, dreaming, deep silent turiya. So basically it takes their body from a conscious to an subconscious state of mind or unconscious state of mind. You feel thoughtless, you feel good, and this is a kind of a cosmic wellness. Then of course we talk about power breathing, Botako breathings. We are Botako breathers. The SAANS is an established Botako breathing training unit. We help you to take powerful power breaths. So this is called Botako techniques. You see small breath, then there's a holding breath and counting second, and finally state of hunger and normal breathing. This is how by both breath holding and deep breathing techniques, we teach power breathing techniques, or these are called Botako techniques. It's a very useful technique to relax your mind, give you that kind of wellness and energy. So these are the steps we are showing: small breathe in, small breathe out, then holding breath and counting seconds. Then first sign of air hunger, then normal breathing. These are the Botako techniques. Then of course we have different SAANS power breathing techniques. You can go through our sites. Then finally, the guided meditation. You have to guide yourself to go into the blissful state through breath, through focus, and slowly opening eyes and keeping your breath focus. A breath meditation in a silent place can give you mindfulness or meditation. So these are the ways which you can really achieve wellness. My dear friends, you can go to our websites, you go to our blog and Facebook and all the sites, but unless and until you practice 360-degree wellness, covering all the things which I mentioned, the wellness is not possible, and it's a daily effort. It needs a strong self-regulation, and then only an habit is possible, and habit is an effortless effort. And once you reach an habit, you will find you're always there. You're always there in wellness. So thank you, dear friends. Wellness is possible. This is the need of the hour to work on wellness. This is a time to nurture your mind. This is a time to talk to yourself. This is a time to breathe deeply. This is a time to breathe better and live longer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful and informative session on mental health and COVID and how the journey from illness to wellness occurs. And thank you once again for your time and effort in explaining the nuances in mental health and COVID, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bhavna.
Thank you, sir.